Hey everybody, it's MathWiz here, back again with another quick Universe Mode update. I know I said that the last one would hopefully be the last update, but I came up with a new plan since then, so I needed to make another one. As I'm sure you're well aware, WWE 2K19 was not a great year for me for Universe Mode. I got out, well, this will go up before SummerSlam, but SummerSlam will mark, I think, the 23rd episode in the series, and that'll be the last, which, compared to the 70 or so episodes I got out in 2K17, and the years before that, where I think the minimum I've hit in a year is like 60 or something. Yeah, I didn't do so great this year. So I want to fix that for next year, and I can't really do that just sitting on my hands. I mean, like this past year, I tried to stick to the normal formula, and that just didn't really work. So I'm going to be making some changes to the schedule. More so, it's the big pay-per-view shows that always kill me, because I'll start to get into a routine, I'll start to get back on track, and then I have to make the big 2.5, because I usually end up going somewhere between 2 and 3 hours. I seem to be incapable of making a show shorter than that nowadays. So that ends up killing me. That eats up, because then I'm basically making like a month of Universe Mode in one single video, and then once I do that, then I gotta get everything back, because then I have to re-record like a backlog to try to stay ahead of the game, and then that ends up taking a while, and of course I have another channel I'm running, so it just hasn't been feasible. So for WWE 2K19, I'm gonna change things around. After SummerSlam, I'm just gonna try to cut back on pay-per-views. I'm gonna try to stick to the big four. So it'll still be your SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and that will probably be it. I might do the occasional special show here and there. Like, obviously, there's gonna be King of the Ring coming back, so I might do a little event there. Slammy Awards, I'll probably do that as well, because that was fun doing that last year. Honestly, I'm more concerned with just progressing the story, because that's the thing I'm the most interested in, is crafting the narrative, crafting the stories, the characters, all that good stuff. So if I just focus a little more on the Raw and SmackDown episodes, it's obviously going to be a bit of an adjustment period, so the first month after this change, or the first 2 or 3 months, might be a bit weird, but once I can get the formula, because that's the thing, I've been using this formula of the pay-per-view every month since WWE 13, so obviously there's going to be a bit of an adjustment period. I can just hope that you'll be patient with me as I try to figure things out. But I want to be more consistent with the Universe Mode, and that's why, you know, GM Mode's wrapping up, so I won't have to worry about any other side projects in 2K19. It's just going to be the Universe Mode videos on this channel. That's going to be my main focus, because that's the project I enjoy making the most. So the Raw and SmackDown episodes might end up being a little longer. I might just try to pack more story into those episodes than I normally would, because normally I'm used to building everything to a big show, to a big pay-per-view episode. But since I'm not going to be doing that now, I'm just going to have to restructure how I pace out my rivalries. So the Raw and SmackDown episodes will hopefully then have a little more going on with them than they used to, with the pay-per-views sort of taking the bulk of the payoff. And this is sort of similar to a change I've been trying to make recently anyway, where I've been trying to put more emphasis on Raw and SmackDown, and I've been trying to work out the flow of the show, trying to make some changes so that everything just seems to flow seamlessly. Very much so in the vein of Immerse YT13. I've taken a lot of inspiration from him in the past year or two. My stories used to operate on sort of the assuredness that the videos are going to be coming out consistently. So the way I've told my story has not been great. Like this past year, I think there's definitely got to be a bit of like memory loss in between sections of episodes that I've uploaded, and that doesn't work well with the type of story I've been telling. It's been more, because the narrative I make is more, it's dependent on that consistency, because otherwise I'd have to like factor in like recap or something. I'd have to restructure things to make sure that people are still understanding what's going on, so with like promo packages or whatever. So this is going to be my solution for 2K19. We'll see how it goes, if that ends up not working, or if my schedule changes again, and maybe I'm opened up to actually spend more time on getting out more consistent uploads, and I would be able to go back to the old schedule. We'll just see. We'll play it by ear. This is my plan for now. So SummerSlam, that's gonna happen as normal, and then after that, the next pay-per-view will be Survivor Series. So there will be like 3 months of Raw and SmackDown in between there, you know, in-game calendar-wise. I don't know how long it'll take me to get those out. But this should hopefully mean that I'll be able to get out more consistent uploads. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'll have 2 out a week every week, but this should mean that there won't be big 3-4 month hiatuses after a little pay-per-view. Because even lately, like, Roadblock was sort of building up to WrestleMania, Cyber Sunday was kind of building up to SummerSlam, but like, those shows in their own right, I don't think serve as very satisfying payoffs compared to a SummerSlam or a Payback or a Battleground. Because when I do those big shows, people expect a lot out of them. Whereas, like, if I do it this way, it's the big 4 pay-per-views, so you absolutely know that you are getting something special when you see those videos. And not only will you still be able to get those special shows, maybe less frequently, but at least then there aren't going to be the big hiatuses, and I'll be able to just progress the story more, which is my main concern. If you have any questions, just ask me in the comments. I've already rambled on more than I was planning to, so thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, so that was originally going to be all this update was about, but I do have one more question. I don't normally get some, like, interaction on my universe mode, like, I don't really ask what you, the audience, think. But this is an idea I've been tossing around for a while. I know I used to rag on the idea of a cruiserweight division, but it was more along the lines of I don't think, if I was going to introduce it to my universe mode, I didn't quite know how to use it properly. And I think one of the issues that I had originally had with WWE's cruiserweight division is that, you know, all the cruiserweights would be restricted to that division. And I mean, now they have their own show, so it's kind of different, but to ignore that tangent and actually talk about my universe mode, I have an idea for a Cruiserweight Championship that is a title that sort of could swap between shows. Like, since I'm going to be changing the pay-per-view schedule and it's only the big 4, how I'm thinking I would maybe use it would be to have, let's say Brian Kendrick wins the Cruiserweight title and he has it on Monday Night Raw. Oh, but of course Brian Kendrick wasn't confirmed in the roster reveal, so he may not even be in WWE 2K19. So really, this is a big hypothetical. And then he would defend it on Raw up until the next pay-per-view. So let's say he won it at Survivor Series or whatever. And then at the Royal Rumble, he would defend it in a Raw versus SmackDown match. So at each pay-per-view, there would be a Raw versus SmackDown match, and obviously the winning superstar would take the Cruiserweight title for their brand. You know, I have the women sort of float between shows, and I obviously can't really do that with the men, because that's not how I structured that, and even with the women, I could probably try to make them more brand exclusive, but I'm still trying to establish the people, and I haven't figured out how I want to do that yet. That's also partially my flaw for not figuring out how to work it properly. Anyways, back to the Cruiserweight title. This would be a title, mainly it's just to get an extra title on the show for other people to challenge for, because I generally have a lot of moving parts in my universe mode, and sometimes there are people who I would like to give a title, but I just can't, because I also like to have some long-running reigns in there. Like, with the United States Championship scene, for example, I had a bunch of guys doing stuff, but really only Sin Cara was the champ. So it's like, how do I make everybody, you know, do something? So I feel like adding another title, I'm still kind of mixed on the idea. Maybe I'll do it, maybe not. But if I have it this way where it can sort of swap between the shows by having these Raw versus SmackDown matches at the big 4, that way it sort of neutralizes the problem of, oh, well, how do I get it between the shows? How do I make it so I can actually have a Cruiserweight division? The pay-per-view matches solve that problem, and then it would also give the Cruiserweight guys who maybe aren't... Because really how I would use it would be like, say somebody just loses the US title and they need something to do, so they drop down to grab the Cruiserweight title. Or someone is trying to prove themselves, so they win the Cruiserweight title first, and then that leads them to the higher division. So that's kind of how I would like to use it. It would be a lower card title just to give people who are sort of on that downward spiral something to do, and you know, a chance, an excuse for some of these guys to perhaps resurrect their careers, to put them on a better path. So in a sense, the Cruiserweight division would kind of be its own division, but it would also kind of not be, if that makes any sense. This idea is still very much in the early stages, so like the earliest I could implement it would be Survivor Series, probably. So I'm open to suggestions on how I could potentially use this title, whether or not I should even use it. I know I'm kind of going back on what I have said in the past, where I said I would probably not do a Cruiserweight division. I didn't see much value in it, but I think my understanding of how to use it has changed a bit. Like, I think I was a bit misguided in the past to just write off a Cruiserweight division completely, because, you know, acting as if there was no value in it, but you know, I thought there was a little, but just not particularly for me. But now I'm rambling, so, yeah, what do you think of the idea? Sound good? Sound not good? I guess since we're at this stage in the game, I'll just make this my general 2K19 plans video. So yeah, universe mode, that's the plan for 2K19, nothing else. No career mode, no anything else, unless maybe I might do like a one-off of something. I haven't really been keeping up on the 2K19 news, so I don't know if there's any new game modes or anything. Apparently, from what I've heard, there hasn't actually been much news on the game, and we're already this close to the release date, which doesn't sound good, but, you know, at this point, I make the videos on the game, so I gotta stay current with what's going on. Otherwise, the algorithm will, I mean, not that the algorithm ever promotes my videos, but, you know, it'll kill it even more if I just stay on the old game. So, yeah, 2K19, we're doing universe mode. Went over the calendar situation, so it'll be like, we have SummerSlam, then there'll be like 12 weeks between then and Survivor Series, but in between is going to be the King of the Ring tournament, so that's going to help fill that gap, I guess. And then there'll be like 8 weeks between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble, then like 8 weeks between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, and I might do like maybe an Extreme Rules show somewhere to like bridge the gap between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, because otherwise that's a lot of time between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. That's like 4 or 5 months, which is a lot. And I guess as one last little update while I have you here, I will try to work on more Behind the Universe next year. Like I said, Universe mode is the priority, so don't expect any sort of consistency with Behind the Universe uploads, but I will try to work on them to at least get a couple done over the course of the, you know, the game cycle, and we'll see where we go from there. So that's all I had to say. Thanks for tuning in. I'm getting back to work on SummerSlam, so I will see you then.